The cafe was almost empty that late Thursday afternoon, the kind of quiet that falls after the lunch crowd leaves and before the evening regulars arrive. Soft golden light spilled through the front windows and pooled on the wooden floor like warm honey. At a small table in the middle of the room sat a woman and her teenage daughter, hands folded neatly in front of them, two water glasses the only thing on the table. They hadn't ordered anything. They hadn't even opened the menus. Most people would have walked past without a second glance. But James couldn't. He was 62, retired from teaching high school history, and came to this cafe every day at 4 o'clock just to feel a little less alone. He always took the same corner booth, ordered tea he barely drank, and watched the world move gently outside the glass. Today his eyes kept drifting to the mother and daughter. The mother, Anna, looked about 45, though worry had drawn faint lines around her eyes that made her seem older. Her daughter, Lily, was 15, tall, quiet, wearing a school sweater that had been washed so many times the letters were fading. They sat close together, shoulders touching, as if the contact was the only thing keeping them steady. James noticed how Anna kept smoothing the edge of the tablecloth with her thumb, over and over, the way people do when they're trying to hold themselves together. He noticed how Lily stared at her untouched water like she was afraid to drink it too quickly. And he noticed that every time the bell above the door rang, Anna's whole body tensed, just for a second, before relaxing again when it was only another customer. After 20 minutes of pretending to read his newspaper, James folded it closed. He stood, picked up his cup of tea, and walked the few steps to their table. "Mind if I sit?" he asked gently. "It feels a little lonely over there today." Anna looked up, startled, then offered a small, tired smile. "Of course," she said. "Please." James slid into the chair across from them. For a moment no one spoke. Then Lily whispered something so softly James almost missed it. "Mom, I'm really hungry." Anna's hand found her daughter's under the table and squeezed. "I know, honey," she answered, voice barely above a breath. Soon, James felt something shift inside his chest, an ache he hadn't felt since his own wife passed 5 years earlier. He waved the waitress over and ordered without looking at the menu. "2 bowls of today's soup, please. Grilled cheese sandwiches cut in triangles, the way kids like them, and hot chocolate with extra marshmallows." He glanced at Lily. "If that's okay with you." Lily's eyes grew wide. Anna opened her mouth to protest, but James raised a gentle hand. "Please," he said, "let me. It would mean a lot to an old man who has too many empty afternoons." The food arrived quickly, warm, fragrant, comforting. Lily hesitated only a second before taking her first bite of grilled cheese. A tiny sound escaped her, half sigh, half sob, and she leaned into her mother's shoulder as she ate. Anna watched her daughter for a long moment, then looked at James with eyes that had forgotten how to hope. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what this means." James smiled softly. "Maybe I do," he said. "Would you tell me your story?" "Only if you want to. Sometimes sharing makes the load a little lighter." Anna took a slow breath. And then, between quiet spoonfuls of soup, the words came. They had lost their home 2 weeks ago. Unexpected medical bills after her husband's heart attack last year. Then the job loss. Then the foreclosure. Everything they owned now fit in the back of a 10-year-old car parked outside. They had spent the last 3 nights driving from one parking lot to another because the shelters were full. This afternoon, they had come into the cafe just to stay warm for an hour. When she finished, the table was quiet except for the soft clink of Lily's spoon against her empty bowl. Anna looked down at her hands. "We've lost everything," she said, voice breaking. "Everything except each other." James felt tears rise in his own eyes. He reached across the table and rested his weathered hand over hers. "No," he said gently. "You haven't lost everything. You still have love, and that's the only thing that ever really matters." He paused, then added, "My house has been empty for 5 years. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a kitchen big enough for Sunday dinners. It's just 10 minutes from Lily's school." He pulled a key from his pocket and set it on the table between them. It's yours for as long as you need. No rent. No questions. My late wife, Clara, would have insisted. Anna stared at the key like it might vanish. We, we couldn't possibly. You already have, James said. By letting me remember what it feels like to be useful again. By letting me be part of something good. Lily looked up, cheeks flushed from the hot chocolate. Are you sure, sir? She asked. We don't want to be a burden. James smiled, eyes shining. The only burden is an empty house that misses laughter. You'd be doing me the favor. That evening, James drove them to the little blue house with the white porch swing. He carried their bags inside while Anna and Lily stood in the doorway, afraid to believe it was real. He showed them the bedrooms, the fully stocked pantry, the drawer full of spare phone chargers and warm blankets Clara had always kept ready just in case. Before he left, he hugged them both. First Lily, then Anna, who held on a little longer than politeness required. Thank you, she whispered against his shoulder. I thought God had forgotten us. James shook his head. He never forgets, he said. Sometimes he just waits until the right person is paying attention. 6 months later, the blue house was filled with new sounds. Lily practicing piano in the living room, Anna singing while she cooked dinner, friends coming over on Friday nights. James came for dinner every Sunday. They called him Grandpa James now, and he never corrected them. People still talk about the day an older man noticed an empty table and heard the quietest sentence that changed 3 lives forever. They say if you sit in that cafe on a late Thursday afternoon, you can almost feel it. The moment a stranger chose kindness over comfort and hope walked back into the world. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't shout. They simply sit down across from you, order hot chocolate with extra marshmallows, and remind you that you are never as alone as you think. If this story touched the soft place in your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that goodness is still out there, quiet, steady, and waiting for the moment someone chooses to notice. And the next time you see an empty table and 2 untouched glasses of water, maybe you'll be the one brave enough to sit down and ask, "May I join you?"